In your handout, this is the only sheet that you need to worry about for me. I've included things behind it, and it's about exercising in general. We're not going to talk about that today because we're just not going to talk about that today. We don't have time. Now, to begin with, I'm from Tillamook. You know what that means? Cheese! Cheese! Well, you guys must be moldy. Okay, let's get started because we really don't have an awful lot of time. I would like all the people that are caregivers, doctors, pro people, people who do not have Parkinson's, you're going to exercise first. Actually, let everybody pull your chairs away from your tables. That way you've got some room. And that means everybody. Okay, those people who do not have Parkinson's, your exercise, I want you to stand up. Raise your right hand. Wave it around. Put it down. Sit down. Stand up. Left hand. Wave it around. Put it down. Sit down. People that have Parkinson's, here's your exercise. Hands up. You guys are great. Let's hear it for the caregivers. With Parkinson's specific exercise, a lot of it is repetition. And I'm going to show you a lot of things. They're on the list here. I'm going to show you about muscle balance and stability, and we're going to talk about this. You can see that up here, the first set of 2 is for muscle balance in the legs, which leads you to better stability. Everybody kind of overdoes one muscle group or the other. If you're going to be up on your toes and strengthening the backs of your calves, what happens to the front? It's not working. So you want to have muscle balance, which will lead you to be more stable. To do that, you lift your toes up, just like it shows there. And you go up, and you go back. And anybody that wants to stand up and try this, you're very welcome to. And you'll feel it's not fast. You can see that I have to take my body and go back a little bit, go up. And you'll feel a difference because the body is moving differently. What this also does, it strengthens in the tops of the feet that you normally don't use. It strengthens the wrists. The wrists that are down here below your knees. And, yeah, those, you know. Go ahead and sit. On the table, you'll find some toys. I only had a few toys, but you guys can share. Everybody keeps thinking, squeeze the tennis ball, squeeze the tennis ball. That's really going to help me with my Parkinson's or my arthritis. Instead, that's not how the body works. The body curls inward, and those muscles are called adductors. Does this look kind of familiar? It's because the body's naturally curling in. If you don't have good body balance, the body will continue to curl in, and you will have less and less activity being able to get it to straighten up. So we don't squeeze the tennis ball. We put it back here. And what that does, it takes these short, tight, strong muscles, and it stretches them out. And it takes these long muscles that are weak, and it begins to strengthen them. And you can just kind of pass it back and forth. And we can have these little balls flying all over the place, but go ahead and practice with it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. The hand wave up here is the same thing, but it's just moving up the arm. And when you do a stop hand like this, we're shortening these muscles and strengthening them, where normally they're elongated because the body's curling. So you can do this to strengthen, and of course you want to go down, and then you want to pull it up. Stop hand, and down, and stop. And if you're using one hand, what's wrong with the other one? And down. And when you do Parkinson's-specific exercises, unless told otherwise, you're going to do them slowly and you're going to do them methodically. And I do have my crib sheet. Torso flexibility. You guys are going to be able to do some of this. In your chairs or standing, When we talk about this rigidity that's here, we have several ways of working on it, but if you think in terms of planes, you can really work on your rigidity. This plane right here that runs right through my body here, I would do this. So I'm doing a lateral, up and down, nice and slow. And of course, you'd probably do this a little bit more, but our time is quite limited. And then you have this plane in front, and that would be this. Now, when we do this, we don't want to be having this much weight balanced by, well, some have more weight than others, but we don't want to just be hanging out here. So I always have somebody do it by putting their hands here and using it for support so that you don't have a problem with your back. But now you're working on another plane. Then we have the horizontal plane, and that runs parallel to the floor. And this is what we can do. So any motion that is actually coming up and down or simply back and forth, they would consider that a horizontal motion. But you can see what happens. Look at, we have this, we have this, we have this, and that torso eventually can really get used to that. But it has to remember how to do it. The best posture exercise that I can come up with for Parkinson's or anybody else is crack a walnut between your shoulder blades. So let's crack a walnut between, look how tall you are. Look at that. So you're walking around and you see yourself in the mirror and you go, oh. And you put yourself more upright. Now, there's one other one, and it's rude and it's crude, but we're going to do it anyway. If you want to stand up and do this, you may. If you'd like to remain seated, you're going to crack a walnut between your buttocks. Now, you're saying, what? But look what happens to my hips. When you want to have good balance, you want your ears over your shoulders, over your hips. And if I'm like this, and I crack a walnut with my buttocks, look where my hips go. Then I crack that walnut between my shoulder blades, and I'm upright. And you can practice this without anybody actually knowing, except all of a sudden you kind of do this, or you're a little more upright. But if you practice that, and I said this is not just for Parkinson's anymore. So let me see. Do I want you to continue to stand? No, now we're going to do some vocal unmasking. A lot of people have problems with the vocalizations. And the biggest problem with vocalization isn't that your spouse is going, huh? Huh? All the time. My dad, Mom, huh? Huh? You know, the problem is that it can lead to difficulty swallowing. If it leads to difficulty swallowing, you can choke, and you can starve to death in extreme cases because people lose the interest in eating. So when you're doing this, they have the Lee Silverman program. They have a lot of programs. But basically, what you need to do is use all of your mouth and keep it working. So what we're going to do is, for the front area here, we're going to say 4 times P-T. 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 Notice I didn't do it the other round? We didn't do it T-P, T-P. For the center of the mouth, we're going to say L-R. L-R, 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 L-R. For the very back of the throat, and that's that big swallow area, Q-X. 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 Feel it there? Q-X. Q-X. Now, somebody stole my thunder last night. A wonderful woman who just sang a beautiful thing. And she had everybody stand up or sit down, but they made noise. Well, this is my exercise too. And this is my friend who has PD, my friend the fireman. It's his least favorite vocal exercise, but this vocal exercise works so well because it opens and closes the throat, and it makes you really project. So I want you to sit forward on your chairs, because we want to get lots of volume out. Okay, think fireman.